But I was so scared of going into a different family. Okay, and then happened parenting. I had the first child. I would be so scared of parenting and forget that. I always felt I'm not a good enough mother. Added to it, I had to go back to work in 3 months of my delivery, and I felt, what kind of a mother I am, leaving my child and I'm coming back to work. And the list is endless. So all the time I felt I am not good enough. But it continued, I was into a lot of inner work, etc. But it continued. I always found reasons why I am stuck with this. And I thought I was stuck with it until one day when I said, enough is enough. I need to work on this. Kuch to karna hai. And I think that is when, for me, healing began. And I went to the source of this I'm not good enough. And I discovered many healing methodologies. I worked on many healing methodologies with myself. Nothing that I learned in my life is to give others, honestly. That I'm giving others right now is a bonus. So all of that happened. And I realized that there is a method in this madness. While the inner work is scary, difficult, time consuming, all of that, there is a method. And that sparked curiosity in me to look at inner world from different lenses. So one lens that I'm very good at is from the lens of using expressive arts, using methodologies that Jung used, like active imagination or clay work, play therapy, where you use miniature symbols to look at your inner world. The other one I'm very good at, which really, really helped me, was biography work. Some of us attending here have experienced that. I had also done a masterclass last March on the power of biography. And then shadows. I have attended a lot of workshops on shadow work. The other very powerful methodology that worked for me was dream journaling. Again, coming from Carl Jung's work. Because I think I was with a Carl Jung therapist, an analyst for 10 years and 9 years. And I think that I somehow love his work with mandalas. Again, I had a mandala coach who I worked with for about 6, 7 years and went deeper into how can you touch the psyche using different of these processes. With that, then I met eurythmy. So I went into eurythmy for the last 9 years. So everything when I went, I could look at my inner world from different slices. Now I have different slices in front of me. I can look at my inner world from different perspectives. But I think it's time for me now to integrate all of that and present it as one whole, but that too in a simplified manner. And I think this is my motivation now. So every time I want to do a masterclass, I want to do it on a topic which gives me an opportunity to simplify. This topic, it's not that I'd simplified for myself earlier, but I've gone through this. So today was an opportunity for me to simplify it. And why not? So I think I feel joy. The other thing, Sunita, to tell you is that always I thought I was not a structured person. I go with the flow, and of course, intuition and flow is my key. But in the last 2 years, that has changed for me. I can be structured when I want. And now I'm using the best of both worlds. So when I make a presentation or a flow for a masterclass, I think it helps me to structure my thoughts, which otherwise is all over, and I can access it. But how do I transfer it to somebody who wants this? That's the whole idea. And that's why I'm here. That was a long answer to a short.
Yeah. So having done the work on yourself, you're here now to share with leaders and coaches who are here about what it is that is seen and what it is that is unseen within us
Yes,
and people around us.
yes.
And that's so beautiful. And it's really complex, all of this, right? And having experienced all of it over the years, I believe that it must have been a lot. But now that you've explored the inner world from different aspects, from different healing modalities and the uh, work that you've been through, you are able to simplify it. That's
Right.
what is really, really um, beautiful, because this work can be really complex.
Yes, absolutely.
So we
Yes.
are all ears to listen to you. And is that what you talk about when you said, when you say root to shoot transformation? So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
begin at the root and then
Absolutely. Absolutely.
transform the being.
Yeah, that's my life. Meaning, if I were to look at the last 15 plus years of my life, it has been road to shoot. Because I think I've been in my leadership years, I've been in the shoot. I've worked with success and performance, and I've only it has led me to a burnout. So I feel, yeah, I mean, it didn't work for me. It worked for me. Yeah, I got fame, money, all of that I got. But if I look at it from the inner world perspective, and who I am in the core of my being, and to achieve my purpose, how many years I want to live, it didn't work for me. So hence I feel like looking at the unseen layers, very important. And uh, leaders, actually, people who are practicing in the corporate world, they are too busy chasing success. It is a very busy world. Now, as a coach, I have an opportunity. I can say, okay, I give them what they want. Yes, I do. But the way I frame the question, the way I ask, I always have the perspective overruled. The perspective is there. I still will give them what they want. So I think that's my life's work, and I will die doing that. And it satisfies me. Yeah,
So lovely to hear, Deepa. Um, you've got that clarity, and I can see the smile on your face is just indicating how peaceful and happy you are doing this work.
that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. So for today's presentation, I'm going to I'm requesting Ashwini to present the slides, because I've had a challenge with logging in from my computer. Yeah. So, today what we are going to journey, through is looking at the unseen layers. Ashwini, can you please play in the presentation mode? And we are going to look at the unseen aspects. So that's going to be today's focus. Yeah. Um, Go ahead, Ashwini. Yeah. So here is this is going to be the anchor for today's presentation. Yeah, today's understanding. There is a seen layer, which is the 10% of the iceberg, and there are unseen layers. Now, in today's the time that we have together, we are going to look at three key aspects of the unseen layer. One is the energetic wounds, the energetic blocks that come from there, and the unconscious shadow behaviors that we engage in because of these energetic wounds, and because they are in the unseen. If you see, shadow waterline, but the other two, and especially wound, is right below, deep below in the iceberg. So, and hence, Ashwini, one, no, before that. So, uh, the deeper the wound it is, which is close to the bottom, the stronger the block, and the more persistent will be the shadow behavior. And hence, I'm going to step by step actually build from the energetic wound to the energetic block to the shadow behavior, and how it impacts, performance, success, and what we have outside. When I'm saying performance and success, it is not just what you see in the corporate world. It's performance and success in every role. Yeah, and I said, like, for me, the inquiry began, especially because I was really not performing in my role as a mother. I felt I'm so not good enough. I felt if I continue this, my children will be harmed because of my anger. And that was my shadow behavior. So that made me to really look inside and really say, what the hell is happening? Why is this disturbing me so much? So the deeper the wound, the more the block, and the more the shadow behavior. So going to the wound is the core, and we will look at today what are the types of wound that are possible. Next. So I'm just going to pause here, and all of you sitting here have some idea, something, whatever you know from whatever I shared right now. What do you understand by energetic wounds and energetic blocks? You can either type on chat or you can unmute and share. I'm trying to figure out who access chat. Yeah, I can see it. I know someone. Okay, Sripat, yes. Very true, Kusuma.
Padma wants to share. Padma, would you like to share?
Yeah, first off, hi
Deeper,
Deepa.
it's below the iceberg. It's very, very deep below, not accessible, but operates our life in an automatic mode. That's what Vinisha means. Yes, Padmakar.
Hi
Hi.
Deepa. Hi
Hi.
Deepa. You recall our meeting in
Yes, of
Bangalore?
course, we were on the same table at the.
Yeah, we are on the same team.
Yes.
So wonderful to listen to you.
Yes.
My understanding of energetic wounds is that those wounds that sap your energy or do not allow you to perform to potential, things that kind of block you from performing the way you would otherwise be performing
Yes.
because of the residual impact of some wounds that you're carrying with you and constantly interferes with your effective functioning. That's my understanding.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. It leaks energy. Yes. Childhood trauma causes it, Siddhika, correct. It could be something that we attract unknowingly. Okay, let's park that, and it is unknowingly. Yes, trauma, past experiences. Yes, Vibhor. Hi, Vibhor. Yes, manifestation of limiting belief at the somatic level. Yes, all of this is very deep in different layers of our soma, of our body. You feel the resistance energetically, and you want to take action that you're scared of. Absolutely. Yes, Vivek. Hi.
What is coming to hi Deepa? What is coming to mind for me is a little bit like Pavlovian conditioning. Like as an example, if as a child there was one kid who acted up and the parents behaved in a certain way in order to calm the kid or allow them to act up, then they learn that immediately as a way of operating. And if there was another kid who, say, for example, in that case, jumped to the rescue and said, "Hey, it's okay," there are all these things we learn very early on as ways of operating which get us love and acceptance and things
That's
like that. And
that's
then they become inherent patterns which show up in all other contexts. It's a map for this is how I get to this love and acceptance that I
yes,
seek.
yes. Primarily put, getting love and acceptance is the most core need. And anything that gets you that, yeah, it's a map. Yes. Yes. Can we experience wound? Can we replace wound as experience? The wound is caused because of the experience. So the not so good is what we are talking about. The good experiences are not wounds. The good experiences, what happens is it it nourishes us and it brings love. Now, when a child is born, all it cares for is its basic needs to be met. When the child's basic needs are met without having to do anything, without having to smile or recite a poem, come on, tell everybody you know ABCD, anything, you must receive love without any conditions. So when you don't have to put any conditions to be loved, is when there will be no wounding. But if you have to do anything to be loved, then that causes a wounding. It is at a very psychological, very unconscious level, and that manifests as wounds and blocks. Next. Next, Ashmi. So the scene is performance. No, upper. The scene is the performance and success. Okay. Now, in the unseen, first comes wounds. Yeah. So these wounds are deep seated emotional imprints. It is caused because of experiences that we've had very, very young. Yeah. Now, just an example of somebody called Dilip. Dilip grew up feeling unseen. Now, it is a very important thing for the child to be able to see the face of the mother, face of the father. But what if the parents are not available to hold the child, to see the child? The child feels unseen, and therefore, what creates is an abandonment wound. From this wound comes the block. Ashwini, thank you. Thank you for doing this, Ashwini. Even though don't know what is going to come. So, because of this wound, and the wound is quite deep, you need to deal with it. Yeah. So, there comes limitations for you to be able to deal with it. Now, because I feel abandoned, I don't want to feel abandoned. It feels quite scary. It feels very fearful. So, what will I do? I will create self-limiting blocks and self-limiting behaviors. So, the blocks and the behaviors go, they flow. Shuni, next. Yeah. So Dilip, what happens is because he has this wound, he's always scared of losing relationships. So because he's scared of relationships, he will not set he will not be able to set boundaries. He will be very scared to assert in a meeting. He will not be able to be visible in front of the CEO. Uh, and his behavior would be he would not show up, not be able to visible, not be become visible, not be able to network, uh, can't take credit. He feels that anytime he does that, he's going to lose people. So this losing people is a big one. Here's another example. No, the first one before. Yeah, yeah. So now this is for me. This is my example. When I was a child, I had constant criticism. I don't look good. I don't. No, I'm very skinny, and then when I put on weight, I'm very fat. This area is fat. Who'll get married at 6.5? I had psoriasis. So there was constant criticism of every damn thing, and that is when I had something called a shame wound. So of course, I did trace the shame wound back to my biography and looked at the core even before I felt this wound, when I was in my early childhood. But um, I would feel not good enough. The feeling of shame is that I am just not good. And therefore, I used to have a lot of problems with setting boundaries. Yeah. And I was not able, I was always small in leadership. I still remember being dumbfounded when the CEO calls me and I'm so scared. I don't know what he's going to ask. I exactly know everything what he's going to ask me, but I will not be able to explain because I just feel so not good enough. And that there's that shame of being this role holder, the group manager, organization development. But I feel, how the hell did they give me this resignation? And because of this, I was not able to show up at all. So there was a huge problem with this kind of a shame wound. I also felt like this imposter who will be found out. So I remember never asking for promotions, never asking for raises, and in fact will downplay. I would recommend to people when I was an entrepreneur in 2013, I would get inquiries, I would give it away because I felt like, how I going to create it? I'm not able to, I would not be able to service it. I always needed somebody to shield me. Next. I'm just coming to you, Padma. Kumar. Padma is good. So, no, before. Yeah. Now, if you see a lot of people are, at least I coach a lot of people who are not able to trust. They find it very, very hard to trust. And I would ask them, how was their 0 to 7? Because in 0 to 7 is when trust is formed. When my needs of food, water, shelter, changing my nappies, feeling safe are not met at that time by my caregivers. I don't get food on time. Then I say I cannot trust the world. And world that time is my primary caregivers. If that is not resolved by 6 or 7, I carry that. And that wound is so strong that there is a huge struggle to trust people. Forget people. We are not able to trust self. I remember in dance therapy, we used to learn exercises to make people trust self, others, group. One of the exercises that many facilitators here know is trust fall. But trust fall, before that, I need to trust my body. For a trust fall, I need to hold my body upright. That itself, many people are not able to do. So there's huge problem with trusting others, trusting personal self, trusting your decisions, and you can't trust people with your emotions. You can't form relationships. So what happens is delegation becomes a problem in leadership. Micromanaging happens, and there is this over alertness of loss of control. I can't surrender. So if any of you face this thing of, people say surrender, it's a great word, but how can I? The core issue is trust. The core wound is trust. Yes, Padma.
Yeah, sorry to be interrupting your flow, but I just wanted to check. On abandonment that you talked about as the first example, when you think about a context, for example, several of my friends, for example, who live in US or Canada, they believe that by the time the child is, let's say, 6 months old, they put the child to sleep in a separate bedroom.
Yeah.
And they don't let the child sleep along with them.
Yeah.
In spite of that, several children that I know have grown up to be extremely confident and
Yeah.
extremely
Yeah.
expressive kind of individuals.
Yes.
To contrast that, I also know of cases where, for example, in our culture, we have this habit of, protecting the people
Yeah.
for a very long time, even after they become
Yes.
fathers and grandfathers, they are, mollycoddled and, kind of taken care of. And they end up not as secure, not as confident as the people who face this kind of, I don't know if I'm looking at this right, but I think that leaving the 6-month-old child to sleep in a separate bedroom, in spite of any nightmares that the child may have, etc., is in one sense abandonment. Whereas here is the contrary, where you were protecting the child even after the child is 40, 50 years old, when he steps out saying, please look on both sides of the road, please go carefully. Those kinds of things are essentially providing that extra protective layer. But the results are very different.
Yes. 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 So how this works, I mean, if you see the world of psychology, it says that what can be trauma or abandonment could be that the mother has left the child in the cradle, and the child has crawled out, but has not seen the mother, can't see the mother, but the mother is in the bathroom or in the kitchen. So for a minute or two, the child is not seeing the mother. That also could be abandonment. So who will decide what is abandonment is by the child. And each of our temperaments are different. Because our temperaments are different, and therefore we cannot assume from the outside what you see is full truth. The second thing is that till I came into the field of psychology and therapy, I was a therapist from 2013. Yeah, before I became a leadership coach. So when I stepped into the world of therapy and I was a therapist, is when I understood the problem, what or the havoc that wounds play. So the same person who used to report to me in the organization, he told me, since you are now a therapist and you know me and you know the context of the organization, I'll come to your center for therapy in Bangalore. And when he revealed to me his layers, is when I came to know, oh my God, I had no idea this person was struggling with this. Because from the outside, everything was okay. Who even knew any wound? So there is this fragmentation that every person goes through, because life is not always perfect. Most times it is not, because our parents are not perfect. Our upbringing is not perfect. It's not perfect. So what happens is the child feels something inside, something else is coming from the outside. And the phenomena that happens is called self-fragmentation. And fragmentation is I adapt to what's happening outside, but I go away from what's happening inside. At a particular point of time, I go so much away from what's happening inside that I don't know who I am. And I've already started pleasing and living as per outside terms, that I've completely lost ki, what the hell am I? Now I can't deal with it. So what happens? Children take to coping mechanisms. Your behaviors can be coping mechanism. Your withdrawals, dope, booze, and everything, sex, and all those, pornography. Those, all of them are coping mechanisms. We don't know who engages in what. So we really don't know, and even they don't know how much fragmentation they're going through. As a therapist, I have worked with people who have addictive behaviors, several of them. And when I after seeing clients, I've come back and literally my heart would cry. And my heart would cry because what they're saying is, can you at least take me out? I am into it. Can you somehow take me out? Because when I go back to that place at home, I'm going to go back to this behavior and I can't deal with it. I want to get out of it, but I'm not able to get out of it because of this fragmentation process. And after a point of time, I don't know how to deal with this split. So the way is to reduce the split. To reduce the split, you need to go to the core. And you need to go through using different methodologies. That's the whole, it's a complex phenomena when you get to see it. But when you break it down, each one of us would have, a particular wound. And I'm going to share what are the 7 wounds, that normally I see. And then, I'm going to ask you, you may be able to identify what are your wounds. Yeah, does that answer, Padma?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Deepa, there's a question from Shivranjani. Why is this called energetic?
Yeah, very good question. So, why I have called it energetic is because this energetic is not the energy that you show outside, but it's the energy which is unseen, like the roots of the tree. The energy for the tree comes from the roots. If the tree is dying, you don't go and work on the above. You go to the roots, and because the roots give the energy. That and the wounds actually take you away from your potential, from your highest self, from what you want, and that's why I call it energetic. Thank you. It was a great question. Next. So we look at the energetic wounds, the energetic blocks, and the shadow behaviors and see the link between all of it. And then your entire inner map will be clear. Yeah. And then you can see what you want to do with it. Yeah. Next. So I'm going to talk about 7 wounds. Yeah. Please pay attention, because after this, we are going to ask you, which do you identify as your primary wound? And if you don't know, it's okay too. So the first one is this wound of rejection, and this wound which it comes when you feel neglect, or you feel exclusion, or you feel you experienced bullying. And this is my primary wound of rejection. And what I have traced as an experience for me is that when I was born, I was with my mother for 3 months. After my mother went to work, and she was to live in a place called Chembur in Mumbai. And Monday to Friday, I would live in Matunga with my grandparents and all her siblings. Saturday and Sunday, I would live with my mother and father. And when I trace back, I feel like the feeling of being held consistently by my mother is something for me was neglect. Okay. And so we are not blaming the circumstances. But for me, how I treated it is, I'm not good enough for her to have me all the time. But of course, the narrative is very different. And I was so loved by my grandparents. And I mean, even now, I'm so close to her siblings because I've lived together, her cousins, everybody used to live in one small, dingy house, but I used to love it. So I was very loved. But when I did deeper processes, what I felt is the touch of my mother and my father is what I missed. So for me, this was a big one. Bullying also. In very initial years, 3 years old, I came to Mulund. I stayed in a family in a building where I was the only South Indian in so many other families who were Maharashtrians. So I was treated a kacha limbu. I was not included for play, and I used to go to my grandmother. My grandmother would come fighting for me, and tell them to take me to play. So when the moment my grandmother would come, they would take me in. But it wouldn't go, beyond that. I was always bullied to be that kacha limbu. So then, and the impact of I am not good enough. I'm not sure if I have to explain because the more the number of people I hold space for, I see this as a primary wound. And this is an ongoing process. I think as Vinisha talked about it, it's an ongoing process to peel the layers of it. The thing is that when I found this, I told my mother, and even now, my mother doesn't like to hug and embrace, etc. She's the stay away. So for me, when I ask her for a hug, and when I don't receive it, it affirms that, oh, maybe I'm not worthy. Of course, now I have the understanding of not thinking of it that way. But that is why I call it an unconscious energetic wound. Next. This Padma, this is what I'm talking. This is the wound of abandonment. So when there is neglect, emotional neglect, and not it's not an absolute one. It's a relative to how the child thinks is what the child thinks is neglect. Yeah. Or there is inconsistent caregiving. I can't trust when I'll get my milk. When this happens, or there is a problem, the issue in the family at that point of time between the father and the mother, something, then the fear that develops for the child is I'll be left alone. I'm not there. And to a large extent, I feel like when my second child was born, he would be having this. Because when he was born, I had very high fever. I had multiple surgeries. So I actually didn't hold him. At that time, I did not have all this understanding. So I have a feeling that this wound have got created for him. And so this could happen if the child thinks so, that I'll be left alone. Next, that is abandonment. This is when the mother or the father or the caregivers are very, very critical. Okay, my father told me that in Tamil, he used to tell me that you're fit to graze cows. He was motivating me, so that I can study well. But I'm a Tambram, but can't understand mathematics. It just doesn't go in my head. So that was a huge shaming for me. Like I just cannot understand mathematics. So embarrassment, I always felt judged. So when somebody told me I'm intelligent, but in my mind it is, but I don't know mathematics. I still remember my super boss told me, you're intelligent. I said, Bala, I don't know mathematics. He was perplexed. What has intelligence got to do with mathematics? But that's how the narrative lives, and it's energetic. And when he mirrored to me is when I understood that I'm holding this mathematics equal to intelligence. I didn't even know it. So with this, what happens is there's a huge dependency on external validation and extreme fear. So boundaries, not and this also goes very well with I'm not good enough. So it couples with that and creates big havoc. Next. Betrayal, trust. Can I trust my caregivers? Uh, I have also experienced in clients, especially in therapy clients, that when the mother and the father, when the child sees mother and the absence of trust in them, also this core fear develops that I can't trust my parents, I can't trust the world, I can't trust people. So I have to be independent, I have to be on my own, I have to fend for myself. I am, I have to earn, I have to do this. And I've had young clients coming to me for therapy where they said that if my mother pays, it will not work. So can you do free? Because I want to heal, but I can't pay, and I don't want my mother to pay. That is hyper independence. It's coming from complete mistrust in the world. Next. This is, many of us have it. Proving. I must prove myself. I must be perfect because I've grown up in a place, in an environment which was very strict. I had a client whose parents used to say, "Where did that 1 mark go? 99 Mila, where is that 1 mark?" So that 1 mark was not taken casually by this adult who was a child then. For that 1 mark, the child would strive and strive and strive and strive. And the amount of energy that is drained in that striving for what? For that 1 mark, which is not even in my hands. And this causes overworking, workaholism, burnout, and all of this. So hard work as a concept, if it is there in your life, it is coming from here. I've seen that, and I must work hard. But if it is not compulsive, then it's not a wound. It must be compulsive and unconscious. Next. Fear. I have to be careful. I better be careful before I jump into it. Play small. Taking risk. Or the parents themselves are scared. They're so scared. Some of I've seen in garden, like, hey, be careful. So what? The child is so fearful. Can you hear me? It says my internet is unstable. Okay. The child is so fearful that next time the child will be scared to go on top of the slide because the mother's voice or the caregiver's voice, whom they love, runs. And that extends to every exploration. There's a lot of fear. So they prefer to stay in comfort zones. Next. Shame. The fear to be seen. This is a huge fear. If I'm seen, then I'll be judged. And this judgment basically is a lot. Yeah. Because patriarchy, gender biases, there are huge messages of you have to stay small and don't do things that will draw attention unnecessarily. So with this, we hide our talents. It's a lot more prevalent in women in India than men, especially this one. Next. So these are the 7 energetic wounds. Which one is the biggest one for you? And Suneeta will just drop in. There is a Menti link.
I request everyone to click on the Menti link and input your response there.
And as you input your response, you can also think from which circumstances would it have come? What could be the origin? Hmm. Can you show the
Yeah, I'm
word?
just going back.
Huh.
Suneeta, I will stop sharing. Do you want to start sharing?
Yes, yes. Please stop sharing so that we can view this.
Hmm.
There's humiliation, fear, shame, rejection, fear,
Hmm.
abandonment.
And are you able to trace all those who have responded? Are you able to trace the core reason? Anybody wants to share anything as you write the responses?
So, if I may,
Yes.
so I just wanted to understand this injustice part a little more. How does it really impact in today's world where we all know that it is not right to expect that everything should be just? We have kind of got used to the fact that there are unjust things that happen in the world
Yeah.
and it's not always fair.
Yeah.
And we learn how to live in a world which is not necessarily appearing fair to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, this is not injustice with the world. It is injustice inside. Okay. And the core wound is about overworking. Ashwini, can you please go back to the slide so that we can clarify this? Thank you.
Deepa, while Ashwini goes back to the slide, there's a question from a couple of our participants if they'll get to receive the PPT.
They'll get the recording.
The recording will.
Can you go back to the injustice? Up, about, yeah. Yeah. So this is about overworking. This is about when the parents are extremely strict, the child experience injustice. I remember when I was in my art therapy training in 2013, we were asked to draw one incident where we felt there was injustice. And we all, I mean, we were 13 of us. It was a group therapy group for 1 year, one long year, and it was also our training. And it was like such simple things that came out, but which had made a profound impact on the person. And I'm talking about, I was 37, and there were people who were 25, 50, 45, different age groups. And most of them were in the 0 to 10 years of age when it was impacted. So this really is the world is unjust because my parents are unjust, and or the caregivers are unjust, and therefore, I have to prove it. And that proving attitude, I have so many coaching clients who will say, I have to prove it. Now, proving itself is like energy drain because you don't want to do it, but because you have to show that you're good enough, you prove. So all these wounds are actually like the roots are all enmeshed. And even if you don't split hair and look at one or the other, the core that I want each one of you to take back is that these erode energy, there are fears associated, and it contracts us. And the more and more it is in our body, the more and more each muscle, each vein contracts. And you can find all of this in different parts of the body. I think, I think somebody said somatic. So it is all found in different parts of my body. I'm not good enough for me is in my gut, is in my stomach. So if we go deeper into that exploration, we will. They have roots in 0 to 7, but it can go above also. What I've seen is the root is in 0 to 7, and it's like a seed. A seed is sown, and then you water it, and then you water, and the root it takes root. So the more a belief is watered, it will take root and it will grow into a root cut tree, that belief tree. Shripad, that's what it happens. So when you are witnessing a client sitting in front of you and they're talking about a particular belief, you will get a sense with the intensity of the belief. Is it has it been watered so much, or it's just little that if you just shake it a bit, it will go away. So most take root early and they are watered, and therefore it becomes really, really rooted.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can we go to the blocks? Now, from the wounds, there are blocks. Yeah. And these are blocks we cause for ourselves. So, again, 7 energetic blocks. There could be more than this. I have just brought 7. Yes. Next. So, this is a block. This is a wound, but it's also seen as a block. And you can see both of them. I have mapped how a wound, results in a block. When I say I'm not good enough, how does it block me? I don't take bigger things. I don't leap into bigger things. I cannot take risks. Okay, because I self doubt, I sabotage my growth. I can't live to my potential. Until I say enough is enough, um, I am going to question this. Until that time, it's a block. Next. Today in coaching conversations is a big one. Everyone talks about executive presence, networking, being visible on LinkedIn, this, that, and the other. And one of the thing that I explore, is showing off versus showing up. Okay, even when I did the Women's Day talk in one of the organizations, I said that. So the showing up, is it okay to show up, is a huge block, because showing up means showing off. I've been told that, and therefore I have fear of being visible and fear of success also. Okay, because if I succeed, then what will others think? This is a huge block, and it is coming from I'm not good enough. It is coming from many other of those roots. So the roots and the core wounds lead to these blocks. Next. This is a good one. When I struggle, I succeed. I was having a coaching conversation today with a senior leader, and we were exploring again wounds and fear. And his belief was that till the last 14 years of his career, till then, he didn't do well. After that, he started doing well. He's forgotten all of that. But he said that because he didn't do well, he had to struggle to get here. He only remembers the memory of I had to struggle. And then when he was exploring, he said that in the last 14 years, I've always got the highest rating. But he's forgotten all of that. Because if he uses ease and abundance, that I can get success with ease, it means he's not suffering enough. And suffering is a part of the block. It feels that he has to struggle. He has to struggle. There must be a sacrifice. So that's a huge block. Now, what happens is when you carry this block, you can't get success easily. You have to struggle. You put yourself in circumstances where you struggle. So there is a loyalty. And this is a block. Next. Yes, yes. In moderate quantity, Padma, it's fine. Yeah. And again, the thing is, if it is unconscious. So in a coaching conversation or in a facilitation, when you do Padma, if somebody says, "Oh my God, I never thought of this," which means it's in the unconscious, but it is ruling their life. When that happens, it's a block. When you're consciously doing it, okay, when you're consciously putting in hard work, because it's a core value of yours, it's no problem. It must not run and rule your life unconsciously. That then it is unseen because it's below the eyes. This one is coming from the betrayal. Yeah, the fear of outgoing relationships. Will I lose people? If I grow too much, then will I alienate ones? I had clients in therapy where they experience alienation from their partner because they got higher salary than them. The question is not whether higher salary, but how it left them feeling. That fear of losing my loved one because I've upset him, that I've got more salary, was so much more than this joy and celebration that I have with my hard work and with all my mehnat I have come up. It's true petrifying. And the intensity. Next, the fear of losing control. So a lot of them have to do things themselves, be it at home or be it elsewhere. This is also related to their sense of self. If my sense of self, let's say, comes from cooking, mother-in-law, if the daughter-in-law comes, a new daughter-in-law has come to take charge of the kitchen, it's terribly petrifying to let go control, because then who am I? What is my sense of, what's my worth? So it comes from the worthiness or unworthiness. And I can't afford to let go because I need to be in charge all the time. Next. Overgiving. I want to be accepted. And I'm born to serve at every cost. And born to serve is okay. At every cost, at my cost. That's the block. Next. Unprocessed emotional baggage. There are people who cannot process emotions. It's very hard. Because in their mind, they have moved on. And sometimes when they meet a circumstance, they ask, have I moved on? But nothing happens after that. Until, I'm fascinated by the hero's journey archetype of transformation. And until they meet, a calling moment, a moment of awakening, which calls them to enter that and enter that underworld. And then whatever is unprocessed processes. But there are people who go through life and die without doing all of this. The unseen remains unseen. That's true too. And it's interesting to see the linkage. Next. It's interesting to see the linkage. I'm just going to invite you to look at the linkage. When you look at the fear of being unworthy, and then you see the block. I'm unworthy, so I can't be visible.
Deepa, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought your screen got stuck.
Oh no. No, I'm just wanting to know if anybody has any insight about their life, or something is integrating for you, something is connecting. Is this
May I
making?
share?
Yes, Suneeta.
Yeah. For me, this perfectionism is something that has been there, and I'm work in progress on that. Um, I didn't know that it's an energetic wound, um, but connecting back with my childhood and uh, how I had to put in a lot of hard work to uh, excel in studies or even pass at times, because mathematics, like you, was a real challenge for me. And I would, for God's sake, I wouldn't understand what those formulae were and how to recall them. Somehow I made sure I learned all the tables, um, put in a lot of hard work to memorize the tables. So that has led my life for a very long time, and I continue to struggle sometimes in some areas. But now the good part is that I become aware quickly whenever perfectionism is playing out, and I switch. But I'm able to get where this is coming from.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think two things you shared is knowing where it's coming from, and I switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to get over the wounds and the blocks, knowing the source and switching immediately is the way to go. It's like axing it when you see it. It will not go away, it'll come back, it'll grow back. But at least in that moment. Thanks, Suneeta.
And wants to share something.
Yes, Sam. Hi.
Hi, Deepa.
Hi.
So I have been doing some inner work, and I was associating myself with abandonment wounds so far.
Yeah.
And today I see that it's not abandonment but rejection, and there's a distinction between the two.
Yes.
Um, where do you see shyness fitting in here? And
Shy. Can you tell me more about shyness?
I come across as being shy a lot of times. Some
Uh,
people have told me, but at some spaces I do hold a confident stance. I don't know how it happens, but in general, I may not be. I feel like I was not encouraged to say my opinions when I was growing up, and I always have that, maybe like that space thing that you told,
Yeah.
struggling because you would take space, something like that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. See, I think that it could go in many places, but you will know it better. But I see that it could come, it would, the fear. Let's look at the core fear. And it could be, one is fear of judgment, and therefore let me not express. And then that, uska term is shyness. People say it as it's shy, that you're shy. But it's the whole thing of, if I express, then I might be judged, so let me keep quiet. But you will know it better. Or is it
No, you nailed it, because I was thinking I may have this humiliation wound.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm hearing. It could also be that, am I, do I even have a point to speak? Then it could be that feeling unworthy.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be multiple also. Could belong to two places as well, two wounds.
Just curious, have you like associated any attachment patterns with this framework? Anxious,
I,
what is
I
that?
haven't looked at it from
Avoidant.
that perspective, but
Okay.
abandonment, rejection, and anxious patterns are very connected.
Mm,
Those two wounds are very connected. Abandonment for sure,
okay.
and anxious attachment patterns are very connected.
So, what do you think avoidant would be connected to?
Uh, I'm not very sure at this point of time.
Okay.
It could be shame
Else?
because you're being there's a fear of being judged and therefore we avoid.
Yeah, could be. See, actually, I have a feeling that just by the term, no, putting it in a category is a risk. We
Hmm.
have to look at the narrative.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so by avoidant attachment style,
Hmm.
it's like fear of being, what to say, fear of commitment or fear of
Trust.
trust.
Trust. You see, now when you're explaining, it's so easy.
Betrayal. Okay. Okay. All right.
That is betrayal.
Wow. Okay.
So
Deepa, I have
because
an
I'm scared, let me withdraw.
Mm.
That's a good. I should have done that as well. The looking at
Mm.
attachment styles. That's one of my favorites. Thanks. Yes, Vinisha.
Deepa, I'm seeing in humiliation, which is struggle with self-trust. It says, I will be judged or embarrassed. And again, in shame, fear of visibility and expression, if I'm seeing, I will be judged. Uh, while I understand humiliation and shame are a little different, can you explain the stark difference between the two?
So this is in humiliation. It is
Hmm.
I have to trust myself.
Hmm.
So I'm not able to trust myself because if I trust myself,
Hmm.
then I won't be accepted the way I am. Basically, it's about acceptance. Okay, and shame
Okay.
also has that angle. The difference in shame is that the way I see shame and guilt, they are two emotions which are extremely harmful for the human being if it is in
Hmm.
little extra quantity. In guilt, it says that your actions are bad. In shame, it says you are bad, which means the core self is bad.
And therefore, you don't trust yourself
You don't trust yourself. So there is quite an overlap, and you don't trust yourself, but you think others are judging you
in both the cases.
in both the cases. But
Hmm.
there could be a situation where the child would have said that something would have happened where, like for example, a child will say, "No, I saw that uncle," but the mother will say, Impossible, the uncle was traveling." It could be as simple as that. And
Hmm.
then the child will say, "But mom doesn't trust me." A
Hmm.
lot of sexual abuse cases I have witnessed in even in coaching cases where they go and tell the mother, the daughter goes and tells the mother, it could be co-relatives. My own relatives did something to me, but the mother wouldn't agree. So then the child will think, okay, maybe I'm hallucinating, I'm manipulating, maybe I don't know. Until much later, when we have a conversation as an adult, that no, this is called abuse.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it all of these wounds no change when they meet the right people who can put things in perspective. But a lot of wounding has already happened. Energetic block has already created, and I have behaved in a certain way. And the thing is, I have seen, especially trauma and abuse cases, they don't behave. Their body behaves. The body closes. The body reacts. The body runs. Fight, flight, freeze responses in the body. So then they work with body work to change that response, to calm in the zone of tolerance.
Hmm.
I
And how do
quickly
you?
did a chat GPT search between difference between shame and humiliation. And it says like shame is an internal experience. I think that I'm unworthy. And humiliation is someone says you're unworthy. That's the
That's the
difference.
difference between guilt and
Yeah.
shame.
But even shames can say someone says you're unworthy.
But how shame is basically someone says, but I have made it mine. I have internalized it.
Okay.
So shame is I. Guilt is my actions. Both are my I only. But one is
Hmm.
a little distant. My action. Shame is I. If you see the core and the flower has the core and the petals. Guilt would be the petals. Shame
Hmm.
is the core. The core holds the petals. So if the core is bad, then
Hmm.
it's terrible as an experience in the body.
Sure. Thanks.
The Shripad.
Yeah, so I'm going to be pretty open and transparent. This is with respect to my son. He academically brilliant, always in 90 plus zone. Even he cracked IIT. He was a school topper. But what happens is this: there is some kind of a hesitation always.
Yeah.
about risk taking, about joining a new company or talking to new people.
Yeah.
And when I saw this presentation, I regressed back few years when we came back from America.
Yeah.
The local kids out here, the
Mm.
Puneri Marathis, not willing to accommodate
Yes.
American Marathi.
Yes. Correct.
And somebody who had accent, American accent, naturally English, and this Puneri Marathi kid did not accommodate him, kept
Yes.
him on the side.
Yes.
Whenever they are playing cricket, he will be kept aside. And
Yes.
that started building up in terms of a fear of rejection. And we also see some kind of a overworking and perfectionism.
Yeah.
There's always a fear. I
Yes.
don't know, I have to be perfect, I have to be perfect.
Yes. Correct.
From family, we are pretty
There is nothing.
peaceful, healthy family background. He had always mother with him because she was not working.
Yeah.
I was working, I was traveling. So I could correlate with these two factors,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rejection and interface.
Correct. Correct. So it's
I
an
don't know whether
internal
I'm
trial
correct.
the child is going through. And
Hmm.
this is so unseen even for the child, for your son, that to what extent it is impacting his daily functioning. And because it's impacting, this causes physical symptoms. Today, a lot of psychosomatic issues are coming up, a lot of them. Psoriasis, eczema, and thyroid, and so many. It's all a response to stress, which is diverted inside.
We keep telling him that, oh, you are the one who cracked IIT. You are the one who was a school topper. You did well in engineering. You scored 326 out of 340 in GRE. All those things. And I keep telling my story that I was a typical Marathi not able to speak English also till I graduated. But somehow we managed, we broke into bigger circles
Yeah.
and cracked a lot of things. I don't brag, but keep telling this so that he gets motivated. But somehow,
No, he has to
uh,
do the work. You can't motivate. It's not outside, it's unseen. So he has to do the work. He has to, meet somebody who can work with him on this. Because, if big things have to be achieved, his potential has to be unleashed with ease, then this block has to be looked at.
reminds me of our historical like Ramayana. Hanumanji had to be reminded by somebody like Jamban
Yeah.
that you can jump till
See,
that time you are not.
Hanumanji was a god. We are absolute mortal human beings, and our inner psyche is like a dog's tail. And
Hmm.
it's in the last 20 years of doing inner work, I have realized that we have to do the work. Honestly, there are no shortcuts. And if there are, then I'm willing to learn what is the shortcut. So they have to do the shortcut, they have to do the work.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Deepa, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
Sorry,
sir.
Deepa, Rajesh here. So,
Hi,
I'll send
Rajesh.
just out of curious.
Okay, I can see
Hey,
you.
you can't see me? Okay, somewhere.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
in
I
the
can.
screen. Okay.
Yes, yes.
No, I just, because of the curious to answer, because of Shripad is asked this. Shripad, in fact, I can't say exact problem, but I was kind of a situation to your son. So I was like, a fear of I'm not good enough. Even I don't realize fear of success. But always, what happened when we get into that, we only try to target what is the recently happened or what is frequently happening. We try to only touch the wound and try to repair it in the border, the surface of it. But actually, when I took the courage to go deeper work, in fact, I did the biography with Deepa, finally I rooted to my 0 to 7, the disconnection is what the root cause for everything. So when I now connect the backwards and come try to propel forward, I was able to do very ease. So I think what she's saying about the importance of inner work, unless until we connect through the entire journey, we will only keep handling this as a piecemeal, which will not serve the purpose, which I've been trying to do for many years. But finally, I come to the kind of the stand and I did the work. After the work, I could really see the difference. And as and when it props up, I'm immediately going back to the root and correcting it immediately.
Yes, yes,
That's
absolutely.
something is really helpful.
Thanks, Rajesh, for sharing. For me as well,
Thanks.
biography work absolutely went to the core of shame, which is not even coming from when I was born. It came from where before I was born. So I kind of inherited that pattern. I had to work on it. And that's why for me, psychology falls short because psychology doesn't tell what happens before. But there is a destiny, there are so many aspects before, and that that need for me was met in biography work. But that's just one model. I'm going to hold on to the questions, Kusuma, Doctor, and Padma. Let me move forward and then we'll come back to your questions. Please write down your questions. Next. Yeah, next. Now, these are just some behaviors and coping mechanisms. All of us, if I were to ask each one of you, what are your coping mechanisms or behaviors that you use to cope? Yeah. We can add this, and this is just, I have just written a few. People pleasing, perfectionism, sabotaging. I call it pair mein kuladi marna, self-sabotage in Hindi. Withdrawal. And what you said about being shy is this withdrawing because you don't trust. It's easy, keep quiet. I used to do the withdrawal because I'm not good enough in meetings. I have such creative ideas, but I'm first of all so scared to be visible. The second is I feel like, yeah, in this, all these HR people who are from XLRI, I'm not from XLRI. Where am I good enough to talk about it? Hyper independence, like we talked about, micromanaging, not being able to delegate. If you give your choicest of behaviors, and one slide is not enough. And you know what is the way to ask this question to yourself? This behavior is coming. I know it's not working for me. I don't know why I do it. I don't know why I do it. I wish I knew. I know it's not serving me. So what is that behavior you're talking about? That's your shadow behavior. Vinisha, I'm just seeing your joke. It's so funny.
I haven't posted that. I don't know how some that's a different log. I mean, I don't know who's logged in with
There is
with
one more
another
There
ID.
Vinisha.
one more
One more
Yeah,
is
person
so
showing
logged
up.
in with your name.
Wow. You, you are becoming
that's
God. Multiple.
spooky, man.
So this person is me, and
Oh, Poonam.
and I really realized right now. I said, why is it showing me VN? I've not done a namkaran. I haven't put anything on papers. What is coming? And I also just realized that. So please relax.
Okay, Poonam, thank you.
Yeah.
People say I'm omnipresent. I didn't realize I was so omnipresent.
And I want link for registration so that I'm connected with the group. If someone can send it to me, better late than never.
Thanks. I sent her the link. That's why. Thanks, Poonam, for saying that out.
Yeah.
Coming back to unconscious, shadow behaviors. What is it that one of the unconscious shadow behaviors for me was lying. I would lie. I know it's wrong to lie, but I lie. Why? Because I don't trust that if I tell the truth, I will be taken. That's a huge coping behavior that I had. And from that to now, when I stand by authenticity, it was so damn hard. Because every damn time this lying will come. It was so hard. And I had mastered the habit of lying. Next. So this is one shot. The wound, the core fear, block, and shadow behavior. You can see if if I trust, I'll be hurt. You're scared of trusting, you will be hyper independent. You will be by yourself. A lot of times one can't get into marriage and deeper relationship is because I'm scared. I'm just scared. I'm just scared to be open, to be vulnerable. Procrastination, people have courses on procrastination. They work on procrastination. When somebody comes to me for procrastination, I work on the wound. Procrastination is above the iceberg. The wound, why is the procrastination really happening? Is there are a lot of answers to it. And when we work on that, we'll not use the word procrastination anymore. There are deeper wounds. It is just one layer of the above the iceberg, actually, because they identify that.
And this is exactly why motivation or reminders don't really
No,
work.
no, absolutely right. Even affirmations for that matter. Unless I write my own affirmation after an internal process, and then that also I need to put it on the wall and remind myself, because I'll forget that. Because an unseen behavior, automatic behavior is too strong. It's like this ideal solid root, banyan tree root, which keeps multiplying. It's very, very tough. It's a tough nut to crack. And therefore, next, that's the healing part. What I have realized, there are two ways to do it. One is you can go to the wound, but sometimes wound is difficult and technical. So look at behavior. Look at which behavior of yours is bothering you. Why do I do what I do? So normally when our clients come and they tell us, no, this is the behavior I want to shift. If it's automatic, it's a shadow behavior. That's the start point then. Some are very, very, and today's lots of, people, they've already Googled and they've told me this is the problem I have. Okay, and they exactly tell me this is the problem, this is the attachment wound, and all technical answers. And they have sent me a huge note before the first meeting. So first I have to understand what is their understanding, and then we have to unlearn together and then start the process, which is another session, a few sessions. So, but then this is the process, you can look at shadow behaviors and then go to the wounds and enable your transformation. Next. So simply next. And this can be the process. You can be the awareness. So you can start with break the shadow pattern, or you can be aware of the energetic wound. Okay, the wound and the experience. And when you're aware of the experience, and that's why what Rajesh was saying, no, in biography work, we actually look at the experience and then we shift perspective about that experience. So when we shift that perspective of the experience, why that experience happened and how can we look at it differently, we look at the wound also becomes a little supple. It's not as hard as it was. It is not as contracted in your body as it was. And then you acknowledge the block. How is it blocking you? And I have lots of people who've done inner work for many years, and they said, I've been working on the same thing again and again, doesn't work. Or how long? And they are in layers because you would have contracted this wound when you were 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Now you're 40 years, 50 years, 35 years. It's been existing in your life for so many years, 30 years, 25 years. It has formed layers. And it takes that much time to unlayer, not the same number of years, but it takes some time. And once you look at all of that, it's easiest to shift the shadow behavior. Not so easy, but it's still easier because you can see it. And people come and report to me that I think I'm better in this behavior. Okay, so that is the way they see the shift. And finally, I feel there's one more thing, which is the last thing, which is practice the integration. People who have a certain wound carry that as a title or a tag. You can actually read it on their face that I have this. Okay. So once you do the work, you also need to acknowledge the shift and say, hey, that is eased. It is not as hard as it was. So that you're enabling and allowing the shift that you have caused with all your inner work. And there are different modalities, there is CBT, there are regular therapy, talk therapy, art therapy, coaching, biography work, somatic work. Working with the body is very powerful. Journaling, inner child work. I find it very powerful when I offer inner child work, in my practice. NLP, a lot of people have, get a lot of work, inner work done with NLP as well, and many other. So there are so many modalities. Choose one, but work on this. Yeah, because when you go to the source and heal it, you break the pattern, and the potential that unleashes, no, it's just so so amazing. I think I just before the session I told Ashwini how I feel. I forgot. Ashwini, do you remember what I wrote? I am good too. I'm not good too. I am bloody something. I forgot.
I can read it for you.
Yeah, please. It was funny.
I think you said something about being good enough. From I am good enough to I am too good is my narrative shift. From
Yeah,
a
I am
follower
not
to
good
a
enough.
creator
Yeah,
to
I'm not good enough.
influencer to visionary.
Yes. I'm not good enough to, I am too good. I'm bloody good. And when I wrote this to her, it just felt like so beautiful. And it also felt like I'm praising myself, but it's okay. If I don't praise myself, who will?
And
Yeah,
like you spoke, it's also acknowledgement of
yeah.
your own self that
Yeah.
there is a shift.
Yes, yes, yes. Sangeeta, that's one of my favorite books. So Bessel van der Kolk, Dr. Gabor Mate, and Peter Levin. These three, they have different aspects. But these three are great authors, and they speak a lot on the work of childhood trauma, how we hold the different aspects in our body, and their work is something I just love.
Deepa, we can also share these books as resources when we shoot out the
Okay,
summary
sure, sure,
email.
sure, sure. I will share.
Sure.
Yeah, and yeah, even biography work, I'll share a book, a resource. And maybe I could share a link on a masterclass that I did on biography work also. Yeah. So a lot of links will come. I'll share a lot of this. And I'm open to questions now. I know we have exceeded time, but there were three of you have raised their hands, and I think I owe it to you.
Dr. Vijay is,
Doctor.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think there are
good
some
evening, madam.
questions also on the chat, Deepa.
Okay, okay, sure, sure.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening.
It's so nice to listen to you. My question is, I come across few people, those who are something like a big question bank. Whenever I conversate with them, they go on asking the questions
Yeah,
and apply too much logic in their
yeah,
conversations.
yeah.
And this is hampering the relations.
Yes,
And I have practically seen. And how we can understand them, what kind of wounds they have within
yes,
in
yes,
their early age.
yes, yes. So basically, why people ask questions is because they want security.
Yeah.
Okay, they want complete security that what you're saying is true, the source is true, I can trust you. So they probably will be coming from a mistrust perspective.
Thank you.
But it's a probability because we don't know, unless they tell us, we don't know what's the source.
Yeah.
Yes, Kusuma.
Um,
Kusuma?
Yes, yes, sorry, I was on mute. So Deepa, my question is basically, I know from childhood I have been like trusting people just like that. There is never a doubt that I have. And as I grew after 35 years and I started developing some intelligence of being able to understand the situation, I felt that many times people took me for granted and I got fooled, and I got to know after 3 years of friendship that it's not right.
Yes.
Then I started going into the complete reverse direction of not
Yeah,
trusting.
that's correct.
Now, I wanted to know all of these beliefs that we have been speaking, even I have been doing some work.
Yeah.
I see it is 0 to 5 years, but this is a very different experience that I have had.
Yeah.
And have you come across any
Yes.
material or anything? Yeah, can you share your experience?
My life was like that only. And I found the source is I'm not good enough. Because I'm not good enough, I need to trust everyone. Because everybody, and also I want to be with people. I'm a people pleaser. I want to be with people, otherwise I will lose them. But when there was a mistress, I'm withdrawing because I don't know the right behavior. I don't know what to do until I meet somebody or some source that leads me to a step-by-step process of this is the way. Then I start rebuilding my trust. Yeah, and then
Okay.
when I start rebuilding my trust, what I rebuild my worthiness. And when I rebuild my worthiness, then I know how to deal with life. So that is the process of reducing my fragmentation and increasing my inner integration. So then I know who I am as Kusuma, who I am as Deepa. Whom to trust, whom not to trust. So I won't be binary. So this black and white thinking is an erroneous belief. If you see the 20 odd erroneous beliefs, There are
Mm-hmm.
all ways of thinking. This black and white thinking is one of the erroneous belief in psychology.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
This was helpful. Thank
They are
you.
erroneous thinking patterns. There are lots of them.
Thinking patterns. Okay, I will do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Vinisha, I think you're no. Okay.
Deepa, there's a question from Shivaranjani. How
Yeah.
to recognize if something is compulsive or if it is an informed decision?
Yeah. So inform means you'll apply your either your head logic or emotion or your intuition or your gut. Compulsive is you're not asked only. Thuk, it will happen. So that's the way you can decide. Yes, it's cognitive distortions, Shripad, that's right.
Yeah, we have a request while you've noted it. We have a specific request to suggest some good books for studying the subject further from Shripad.
Okay.
Some books which cover fundamentals to case studies. So maybe along with the recording, you can give your recommendations.
Actually, there is not one single book, honestly. It's from different sources. So for me to recommend something, you will be disappointed. And many of these are also lived examples of studying many things. So I'll give you a few, but it'll just overwhelm. Or maybe Shripad, what we can do is you can take my number and you can ask me what specific you want, and then I can share.
Yeah, that will be helpful.
Yeah, that'll be better. Yes, Vibhor. I think Padma, you also had your hand up earlier. If you have that question still, after Vibhor, we can take yours.
Yeah, I didn't want to, occupy the airwaves too much.
Sure. I'll take Vibhor and then ask you.
And this is again getting over the fear of being very visible and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was triggered by this statement of yours saying processing of emotions.
Okay.
So I just wanted to understand a little more because it's not a one-time kind of an activity. It tends to recur. For example, in our building, we have assigned parking slots.
Yeah.
And other people are not supposed to park in our slot. That's the understanding.
Yeah.
But one day I came home early. I mean, at lunchtime, I just came back home because I'd forgotten something, I had to pick up something. I found that somebody else had parked the car in my slot.
Yeah.
And at that point of time, I felt a certain emotion, which was understandable because I was in a hurry to get the stuff and go back. And here somebody is blocking my way by parking in my slot.
Yes.
And the watchman said, he said he'll come back in 2 minutes, but he's gone now for half an hour. I don't know where exactly he is.
Right.
Now, the interesting part comes later. Of course, later the guy came, took away the car, etc. That was okay. But next day, I happened to come back home. There was no car in my slot, but I felt the same emotion.
Yeah, correct.
I felt that, processing is not necessarily just understanding that, okay, if there is a car, I feel the emotion. Emotion is possibly triggered by a memory of something that happened in the past.
Yes.
I don't know how long that will last. So,
Yes.
what exactly is processing of emotion? How do we know that, yes, we have processed it and put it to rest?
And that is what these wounds are, no? It has occurred at age 0, 1, 2, 3. I am talking about what I am feeling. My mother didn't hold me at age 1. But it is there, when even now, when my mother says that, don't come near me, it comes up. It does comes up, even though my rational knows that she's like that only. She's not a touchy-feely person. So the thing is that it's important to know what is the emotion that get triggered. For example, when I am saying it, my emotion of that abandonment, like distance, that gets triggered. In this case, what emotion of yours got triggered? What did you feel at this point of time? And you can use the wheel of emotions to identify it. So, which emotion got triggered for you?
For me, it was more in terms of somebody not listening to what
Rude.
was stated to them in
Yeah.
terms of rules. So it was more in terms of neglect or disobedience.
So, what did it make you feel? That's a thought.
Yeah.
What did it make you feel? You're telling me the thought.
I felt frustrated. I felt
Yeah, you felt frustrated. Now, if you go to the emotions wheel, it will tell you which category does frustrated belong to. It belongs to the category of anger. Yeah, frustrated. And the way you're narrating to me now, it doesn't feel frustration, it feels anger and maybe short of rage. That's how I am hearing it. I can be wrong, but we'll stay with what you're feeling. Each emotion is an iceberg. So what you felt as anger, and I'm talking again different levels. So this anger is above the iceberg. If you go below, anger is needs not met. So what you're saying is the need of following rules and abiding by it is not met. Processing is this. This is processing. Understanding that emotion and what is its role in my life. So next time this happens, now because you didn't process, it repeated. If you had processed it then and there, yeah, I'll say, yeah, my need of following rules is not met. It's important to me. Now you can ask the next question. Why is it important for me? Because it is my value. It is my core value. My core value is breached. And I'm not okay with it.
Yeah, but the second day when there was no car in that slot, still feeling the emotion.
Because you are not processed it the earlier day.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's lingering. It is not contained. Processing means there is a container. And in that container, you've looked at it threadbare. And which is why people, and especially when I'm working with so many people, every day I would process emotions. Like my journal will hold space, or my symbols will hold space, or I'll do something or the other to hold space for my emotions so that it's clear. Next day it's zero. When you process it that day itself, it's like kachra cleaning. Imagine you have lots of kachra in your kachra dabba, then the smell is gonna come. But if you daily remove it, then it's a fresh day. There's no stink. Unprocessed emotions will give stink. It will affect. It will play havoc.
Thank you.
Vibhor?
Hi, Deepa. First of all, thanks for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
So, my question is on the difference between shame and humiliation. I think you covered it. And what I understood is shame is something which is internal or personal. Humiliation is something which is, which the external environment is
Yeah.
causing it.
Yes.
So, my question is, what is the source of shame?
Humiliation is felt when somebody externally inflicts it on you.
Yeah. So, what could be the source of shame? Where does it come from, or how does it start as such? I think it is
very early.
humiliation to start with, or is there something
It
else?
could be humiliation. It comes from external. It could come from a primary caregiver. It could come, or it could come from body shaming, or it could come from a deformity that you have, which gets pointed out again and again. Or it could do basic things you can't do, sometimes, and you being pointed out. So it comes from external only. Everything comes from external, but then you take it too personal. You personalize it to an extent that I'm like this only. It's not my action. It's not that I don't know to do maths. I am Buddhu. So when I say I am Buddhu, I'm ashamed of myself. धब्बा हूं मैं types. It's very strong.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
In fact, I would invite you, those who are here, I invite you. There is an upcoming retreat that I will be facilitating on the 23rd to 25th of March, where I'm exploring the hero's journey, where, we're going to explore emotions and beliefs in detail. It's a face-to-face thing in Bangalore. So if you can.
In May, Deepa.
May.
May, right?
Did I say
May.
March?
You said March.
Sorry. May. See, I just want to do it right now.
Please do it.
I'm not there. I'm attending an event in March at those dates. So this is in Srimat Ashram in Bangalore. And we're going to explore the archetypical transformation model of the hero's journey. And I'm going to have a masterclass on this in April. On April 3rd, 4th. Ashwin, which date? Some Friday, no?
4th of April. 4th of
4th of
April.
April, yeah. I'm going to talk about it. And I found this transformation model damn interesting. What is more interesting is that in the face-to-face retreat, we'll be working a lot with the body and not just with the mind. So that if there is any residue, anything that you need to process, it'll just come out. So when Ashwini Guiding Light sends the email, we'll also share the retreat brochure. Suneeta, I don't know if you can share just the first page of it. I can't access it.
I don't have it on the system, Deepa.
Correct. It's fine.
I'll pull it out, Deepa. You can go on with the questions.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
pull it out.
So it's going to be an intimate group of 10 people. And yeah, I'm just so looking forward to that powerful experience. What I felt is where transformation is kind of, there is a method to the whole thing. Even though the method is experiential, when there is a method, you come to know where you are on this journey. Otherwise, it feels like I don't know what am I doing, where have I reached. So that's the whole advantage you have. Any other question? If like today, the technical glitch that happened, if it was yesterday's Deepa, yesterday means yesteryear's Deepa, I would be giving so many curses to myself as if I have caused it. And that is automatic. So today I was even prepared ki, okay, if I can't log in, I can't log in. It's fine. That is what it is. So, and it's such a relief, actually. So big relief to operate like that. I myself feel such a relief.
Yeah, we can see you smile.
Yeah.
I hope the screen is visible. The
Ah,
birds
Yeah,
are
it's
Deepa.
visible now.
You can see the first page. Yeah, I can't. It's थोड़ा बड़ा कर सकते हो क्या? हाँ. So this is the hero's journey. You and I in the normal, ordinary world, there is a call to adventure, and this whole journey of from the call to adventure meeting, we all meet test trials. We have to pass through all those trials and emerge out with that elixir, the Amrit. So this is the journey that we will be going through using different modalities, arts, drama, body work, expressive arts, and many of that. Yeah, I'll send this across. If you're interested to know more, let me know, and I can brief you. There are no questions, and I think thanks, Felicia.
It's Poonam.
Oh, that's Poonam.
Poonam. You could have just renamed yourself. But
So that's
anyway.
what happens when you register. The link is unique to each person. So when the links are shared, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So Poonam, I just told Poonam about the session. We were in a session before it, and that's how I got in a little late. So I just shared my link with her.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Poonam's got her name back.
Yeah. Lovely. If there are no questions, then thank
Deepa,
you.
I have a question.
You have, okay.
Yeah. So all of these patterns that we have in our life, like self-sabotage or perfectionism or procrastination, they're really a result of something very deep that has happened either in our childhood or in the previous lifetime, and they show up in terms of our behavior. So if someone's noticing a pattern repeatedly in their life, and like you said, yet they don't do anything about it, they go about their life and they do nothing.
Yeah.
It's a choice that they make, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And if someone wants to make a change and work on the pattern, that's also a choice that they make.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So what's the question?
So my question is more towards our audience today. What choice are we going to make now that we've become aware, a little more aware of the patterns that could be ruling our life? Are we going to stay with them, allow them to lead our life, or make a change? Because working on them, becoming aware, working on them, and switching continuously has helped me immensely. So it's been a conscious journey. So I'll just leave our audience with that question today.
Thank you. Thank you, Suneeta. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepa.
Thanks a lot for all the support both of you offered.